is officially 1 year.
Our budget,
We thought we knew what we were doing, but we
BCM went to WTF, and then we were like, oh. We sold all our clothes and have been wearing these same ones ever since.
LOL. Okay, let's get this done so we can start just putting this all in a honey hole and letting it just build up.
Peace out.
What is it now?
I'm gonna zing that just a little bit. Don't roll your eyes at me. I think that was Ada getting her tree ball.
I think I was Ada hacking up her bone. Maybe it's my hair.
Maybe you just need to scoot over this way a little bit.
And my hair's going.
As of this month, we have officially paid off. Hey y'all!
Hey, what's
Welcome
up?
back to a debt video. Y'all have been asking for these.
Vlogcast.
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 I guess I feel like I don't say that as much anymore because they're not quite as long as they used to be. We used to make them super duper long. We're gonna try not to keep y'all for too long, but it's a freaking big day.
It is officially 1 year
since we started paying off our debt.
We're filming.
Today.
Yeah, we're filming this on the 1 year mark.
Yes,
I don't know
we're
when this will
filming
go
it
up.
today. January 21st, we had put out several videos talking about like how much debt we owed, where it all came from. If you haven't watched those or aren't familiar, you can go back and watch those. We're not gonna go into how we got into $100,000 worth of debt, but we're gonna tell you what we're doing to get out of it.
If you go back and watch the 1 year ago video, you'll notice something.
We're just here 1 year later in the same clothes. We sold all our clothes and have been wearing these same ones ever since. That's how we paid off our debt.
We've got a new house. There's differences in the background.
New backdrop, new hair color.
New haircut, no glasses.
I mean, we're whole new people these days.
It's crazy.
Whole new city and everything. 1 year ago today is when we put up the first video and made our first payments in our debt-free journey. We gave y'all our game plan. We talked about how much we owed in each category. We started with 12 categories of things we owed. So we followed basically the Dave Ramsey snowball method where we listed our debts from smallest to largest. With each little category, we went even down to like the smallest $300 thing that we owed that we kept getting notifications that we owed up to our largest category, which was a credit card for $39,500. Oh, Jesus Lord, that hurts me just saying it. We listed it all out and got started. We didn't really know what we were doing with this much debt. We had done the Dave Ramsey method way back when we first got married and had just a tiny bit of debt, and then things had gotten out of control. And so we were like, how in the world do we start off paying $100,000 off of debt? Our house was about to be foreclosed on.
Oh gosh.
We owed $13,600 in mortgage payments that it was basically, as we were filming our first debt-free journey video, we got a knock on the door and got a certified letter in the mail that like, you have 30 days to pay back all $13,000 of this.
Don't remind me. That's crazy.
I'm getting heart palpitations.
I know, I'm like, I'm just getting little shivers.
Oh my gosh.
Shaking. Oh my gosh.
But how does it feel to be where we are now
A year later.
Yeah, how does it feel?
I think the biggest part about it is we didn't know what we were doing, even though it seemed like we may have in a certain sense. You had it all listed out and you'd done the footwork. But the biggest point is that we started. Like, you just have to start.
Right.
We were kind of in a different mindset as far as like picking up everything, all the pieces.
And you can go back and watch those first ones too to kind of see like why it's not like we just, I don't know, we were totally irresponsible, but we weren't. We knew we just needed to start and it wasn't gonna be perfect basically, and it wasn't perfect. There was a daggone pandemic that happened in the middle of it.
Yeah, we didn't know that was coming. Yeah.
Didn't know that was coming, which in several ways ended up being a blessing,
yes.
An unexpected blessing.
Yes.
I'm sure, I mean, I know we made mistakes along the way. We spent too much money here or there, or we paid off the wrong thing first or whatever, but regardless, progress is progress, and we've continued to make progress. We have continued to not accumulate more debt. And
we had to start, but we also had to stop with the credit cards, and in that video we froze them and they have made the move with us. Just a quick update there. Might need to get this in the freezer before this video is over to get it back in. But yeah. If you had
seen if you saw our moving video when we brought this with us, they actually all thawed out, and I was like, I promise we're not using them. We didn't thaw them on purpose.
So we started with 12 categories. How many are we down to now?
We are down to 3 categories.
3.
We only owe in 3, or like 3 line items, I guess. I'm actually gonna share the screen with y'all in just a second to show you exactly what our numbers were, exactly how much we owed to start with, how much it went down each month, how much we paid off each month. Our total we started with $100,362.71. As of this month, we have officially paid off 50% of that, and our total amount owed now is $45,000.
And if y'all remember, we did these debt-free charts back in the day, and look at that. We're on level 3 of this game. We're almost to the boss.
And there's the start date of 1/21/20, just like today's 1/21/21. I remember coloring in those first few on this chart and being like, oh my gosh, this is gonna take forever. Like, this is terrible.
Yeah,
and seeing it halfway filled up is so exciting. I mean, that's over 50%. So we've paid off in 1 year, exactly 1 year, to the day. We actually made 2 payments yesterday. So to the day, $55,295.58. And that doesn't count, we've actually paid more than that, but that, like, it back calculates the interest back into it. So we've technically, like, put more money towards it than that. That's a whole different thing on how you decide to calculate that. But that's how much we have knocked our debt down by.
That's just crazy.
It's crazy. Like, what would you have said if I'd have told you a year ago that we'd paid off that much by now? I don't know. I probably would have been like, y'all should have paid it all off. Why haven't you finished?
Yeah, there's, like, with the pandemic, it has been a blessing in disguise, but it's also been one of those things that we didn't know what to do as far as certain things go. And then there's been times where we've had money that we could put on towards the debt, but then we're like, oh, but what if something happens during the move, or something like that. And there were times when we actually made the right decision. In retrospect, looking back, we could have knocked it off even more, but glad we didn't.
But we
Things happen
couldn't.
for a
Like,
reason.
we did it, and so you'll see when I share this that we paid off a huge chunk this month, because we did a lot of, like, Dave Ramsey podcast listening, book reading, calling into the show, asking questions, what are we supposed to do? And one of the things was, with the move coming up, we knew we needed to pile up some cash, like pause the snowball, continue paying minimum payments, but pause paying extra towards the debt, because we didn't know what we were gonna owe selling our house, what moving expenses were gonna be, and all of that. So we had some money set aside that we were able to put towards debt. Along with that,
yes, I was about to say, there were several suggestions of getting second jobs.
There was a lot of suggestions.
To get the snowball going, stopping the kids' extracurricular activities, which happened to be
happened with the pandemic anyway.
So that worked out for a reason. Paid a bill.
Nobody recommended selling our pets, thankfully.
So your kids, we tried doing that, but that didn't work too well.
But there was a lot of talk about, why doesn't Cullen get a second job? Why don't you go deliver pizzas? We explained a few times in the process that with what we do, because we work for ourselves, because of the nature of this business, by creating more content or getting more creative with the ways we make money on social media, we're able to basically take on a second shift, I guess you could say. One of the ways that we've done that is we have been able to work with several different amazing companies that have come up at just the right times. And we're always thankful for our brands that sponsor our videos. They help us pay the bills and help us continue to do this and be able to take the time to share this with y'all. With that being said, today's video is sponsored by Audible. Y'all know we actually love Audible.
Yes.
Like, we've talked about Audible for years. It's the way we kind of started changing our lives.
It really is. It's one of those
ago.
Things that you can just listen to while you're cooking dinner, and we put it in our ears. We work from home, we work together all the time, and so it's kind of my escape, her escape, to get ourselves to have our own separate time. And it kind of goes hand in hand with picking up a second job or learning more about your current situation, listening to Dave Ramsey on Audible, listening to podcasts, that kind of thing.
We've listened to so many different things. Like, I would get so frustrated when I would be like, what do I do about this? And somebody would say, oh, you gotta read this book, such and such. And I'm like, I do not have time to read a book. And so when I discovered the amazingness of listening to an audiobook, it was like, wait, I can do this like while I'm cleaning up the kitchen after the kids go to bed. I can do this while I'm driving. I can do this anytime that the kids aren't talking in my ear. and be able to continue to grow myself. Like I feel like every single stage we've gone through, working through like our relationship issues
stuff, yeah,
we both listened to several of those.
Lots of books on that, lots of books on financial situations.
Even driving down here, moving down here, we listened to I listened to a book I've talked about several times, Dana K. White, A Slob Comes Clean, her book Decluttering at the Speed of Life and How to Maintain Your House Without Losing Your Mind. Such perfect timing, and I didn't feel like I was wasting the 4 hours of driving down here to move.
Yes.
I was listening to an audiobook.
One of the cool things about it too is we get a monthly credit because we are subscribers to the service.
We've been, I don't even know how long. Sorry, I interrupted you.
And the monthly credits are amazing because they kind of add up and you forget about them. And so like driving down here, I was like, I want to find something new and different that I haven't listened to yet, something to keep me awake because it was a long drive and been a long day. And so I was able to just kind of stroll through, search what I wanted to search, and then use our credits.
I do remember that being one of the things that people were like, you can cut your Audible subscription when you're trying to save money, like cut out all the extra subscriptions you don't need. And I said, no, that's not an option.
Yeah.
Because like that's how I'm changing my life. That's how I'm learning new things and being able to continue like on this process.
Right. Another cool thing is Audible has recently released Audible Plus, which gives you full access to original content, podcasts,
audiobooks.
Yeah,
the podcasts are a new addition. Yeah. That's exciting.
And there's scripted, quote unquote, scripted podcasts now, where it's like you're in the book or in the podcast or in the story with them. I don't know, they add like sound effects. You hear the knock on the door and then you hear like, and then there's different characters talking as opposed to just somebody reading their book. It's like an act or a movie in your ears. It's crazy. I love that part.
If you're interested in checking out Audible, to use your Audible membership, you can download the free Audible app on your phone, and then you sign up for Audible. You can get everything on your phone, and then you can also listen to it across devices.
So if you want a free 30-day trial of Audible, visit audible.com/cullenandkatie, or you can text Cullen and Katie to 500-500 to start your trial today.
It's crazy. Anytime you hear somebody call into the Dave Ramsey show and do their debt-free scream, he's like asking what their income was before and what it was after, and he's like, whoa, how'd your income increase so much? And they're like, once you start cutting out things, once you're like motivated and ready to go, you find ways to increase your income, even through a pandemic. Luckily for us, like activities got canceled, school got canceled, so there were less things we were paying for. I'm gonna go ahead and share this part of my screen with you and show you exactly what we owed and kind of the process. I'm not gonna walk through all these numbers because there's a crap ton of them, but just to kind of show you like how we did it. So I know this is a big spreadsheet, and if you're not a numbers person, this is probably overwhelming. But
yes,
in this first column, we have the list of all the different things that we owed, all the different categories we owed in. At the bottom, there's a line for total remaining. After each month, how much did we owe? This line shows the monthly amount paid, how much we paid each month. So for each month, you can see across the top, January, February, March. This is from last year. Total amount paid off, and it adds up that at the bottom too. Okay, so the first column, this was January of last year. This is where we started. This was exactly 1 year ago today. We had the smallest down to a $300 medical bill. We had a bill we owed for getting our golf cart repaired. We had a business thing that we owed somebody for. We had a country club bill that we were members of the country club, had canceled it months ago and hadn't finished paying it off. We had a personal thing that we owed somebody for, home repair. We did have an IRS bill, which I'll discuss that. And then we had our one credit card, our car payment, and then our other credit card. These two at the bottom were our get current. If you remember, we had a lot to pay off on our mortgage that we had not paid our mortgage in several months. That's a whole different story. We have a video on that. Our car tag, I don't know, it's something else in other places. People are like, you have to pay for your car tag? It's like whatever you pay for your car, right? We started off in January with this list. Here's the total amount that we owed. And the Dave Ramsey plan is to go from smallest to largest and pay them off in that order. So technically, by February, we should have paid off these first two with the amount we paid off in this one item here. However, for us, it was more important to pay this back to a personal business thing than it was to pay off these other ones. So we went ahead and paid that first. Obviously, we needed to get current on our mortgage and our car tag, so we went ahead, we sold a crap ton of stuff.
I still don't know how we did that.
I don't either. We do have a whole video on how we got current, but yeah, basically we paid off we paid that all off in 1 month. It was an interesting process. After that, we continued making minimum payments on these. Some of them you'll see stay the same all the way across because they didn't have interest being charged on them. Obviously, like a personal loan isn't. But these other ones, you can see how they decrease a little bit each month because we were making minimum payments. So for the months of March and April, we were not able to fully complete any other of the items. Just making those minimum payments was all that we could do. That was okay. It felt frustrating at the time and I felt like we weren't getting anywhere. But after we had just put every extra bit of money we had towards getting current, we literally just didn't have extra at all to put towards those 2 months. Not to mention the pandemic happened then and we lost some income with our business. Everything kind of slowed down. Then come May, we decided to start going a little bit more in order. So we paid off the 2 smallest ones and then we finished paying off our home repair, which we had been making minimum payments on that. So when I say we weren't putting extra, like we were paying $500 extra Allied, we were paying extra. We were making minimum payments and paying $500 towards this one was our first thing, and we were paying $50 towards this one.
And that's one of those things that we figured you can set up payment plans with if you just talk to the people. You can just say, hey, look, we're going through some financial strain right now. What can we work out? And sometimes they'll agree, sometimes they'll say we need more than that.
I'll say that that also happened with the country club bill because the home repair bill that we owed was somebody we also knew personally, and so you feel a little bit more responsibility to pay that person back, and we knew that we had kind of set up this plan with them for $500 a month. So for the country club bill, when I wrote them and said, it's gonna be a while, I can pay you $50 a month, they were like, okay, it's gonna take you like 3 years to pay us back. And I said, well, let me explain to you. And so basically they said no. And I was like, crap, what are we gonna do? So I laid it out and I said, okay, I'm gonna pay you $50 for February, March, April, and May. And then for June and July, I'll pay you $500 each of those months, or $550 each of those months. And then August, I'll pay the final bill and it'll be paid off. And they were like, oh, okay, that's fine. Because that's the point of the snowball is once this was paid off, the $500 that we had been paying towards this every month was able to go up here. So you can see this was decreasing by 50 every month. And then all of a sudden it jumped down by 500 because we were able to take that 500 and put it towards this. That's kind of the order we went in. I know the Dave Ramsey advice is to pay off your IRS bill first. This was kind of a weird thing. It was an IRS bill that we did not have any idea about, and weirdly, it happened to come in the mail, this notice about these taxes from 2016, right when we started this whole process. I actually talked to the lady on the phone and told her told her the whole situation. So we were able to not have interest added to that in the meantime, or if they were adding interest, it was a very small amount. We knew we were gonna get a tax refund back and we would rather just that go straight to this instead of using the money we're paying. So we waited, and then because of the pandemic, everything got delayed, so we didn't get our tax refund when we thought we would in March or April. And so it didn't come until August. And so that's when the IRS bill was finally paid off. So that's why that's kind of out of order. Also, you can see that the personal loan, technically, if you're doing it in snowball order, would have been paid off round about here. But we did wait on that because it was something that was definitely not urgent. There was no interest to it. And it was just something that honestly, we didn't even have to pay back, but we felt like we needed to get right with anybody we owed money to.
Right, yeah.
It's something that we decided to do. So
yeah,
we
it probably could have gotten swept under the rug, but I'm glad it feels better to just do the right thing.
Because it kept being on the back of our minds. We're like, I know they said we don't have to pay them back, but like we just really need to. Here we get to finally just trucking along, and we're to the end of the year. This is last month. And then this column shows in January, just now, this month, how much we paid off. And in this month, we paid off almost $17,000. We made the regular minimum payments on the 2 credit cards and the car. Because of the house sale, we did not make money on our house sale. That's a whole thing. We made enough money to cover the mortgage payoff. So the mortgage was paid off just fine, but we didn't have enough money to cover like the realtor fees, inspections, and that kind of stuff that happens. We ended up owing $10,000 at the closing of our house, which thankfully, like we said, we had some cash piled up and that was in savings. had to send that all to pay for that.
That hurt, especially after being done, like moving wise, and just like, okay, we're done, but wait, there's more that you still owe to this treacherous decision that we made 4 years ago.
And it was hard knowing that $10,000 could have gone, that would have taken a huge chunk out of our debt. And if we didn't have debt, that freaking money could have gone towards a down payment for another house.
Right.
Anyways, we sent all that money over, but then we got back money that was still in our escrow account.
Not much though.
No, well, it was still like almost $2,000.
Yeah.
The government comes through with a stimulus check, which we were like, heck yeah, that's going to be going towards some debt. And then there was some money that we had left, like we had an auto draft account for our mortgage payment in a totally separate bank. And there was like some money left in there at the end that was calculated differently. We paid $4,000 towards this credit card. So we're almost done with this personal $5,000. It started out at almost $6,000 credit card. We're almost done with that. And then we were able to make a $10,000 payment on this credit card. And I know I'm going out of order here, but with these two being such large amounts, the interest on a large amount like that is ridiculous.
Whew, it was hurting.
Yeah, the car payment does not really have much interest added each month. The freaking credit card, it was like $500 a month just in interest. And so I was like, let's just get this knocked down.
Like literally, it feels like you're just flushing it down the toilet.
So I guess, I mean, if you're looking at this, you're like, why didn't you just pay this whole personal card off and be done with that? And then only put $9,000 towards this? I don't know. Like one is a business card and one's a personal card. So those funds are a little bit separate. So that's kind of one of the reasons.
Well, I will say too, you kind of you forecasted the future as far as our budget goes,
right,
of what we still have coming in and what we potentially will have coming in with other brands that we have lined up. And so we kind of looked at it and said, okay, well, let's just be safe as far as, or let's just have an even number on one, and then we'll definitely knock this one out soon.
And I think that's an important part of it that we have learned along this process, because technically, like in our business account, we have learned to you can't just let that get down to nothing, because brands don't always pay when you think they're going to. Money doesn't come through when it's supposed to. So like right now, I know of a large chunk of money that we will be getting, or we should be getting next month, but it may not be till the next month, because you just don't know. So I was like, I don't want to put any more. I could have put more towards paying off the credit card, but I was like, I'd rather make sure we get paid, you know, like make sure our payroll goes through so we can pay our mortgage, or not mortgage, our rent. And in the past, I would have just been like, ooh, all this money's in the bank, let's pay this off. I mean, it sounds like a good idea, but then you have to plan ahead.
Well, that's another aspect to it too, is you mentioned we have to pay rent. Our rent is significantly cheaper than what our mortgage was. And so we're able to kind of do the whole thing that you did with the, you know, taking $500 and then snowballing that into the next thing, and doing that with what we're doing, with what we would have been paying on our mortgage, making that work for us as far as the getting that snowman built. Yes,
there have been a lot of questions about that, like how has our budget changed? You know, what's the difference in our totals? And we're gonna have a whole video on that. So y'all stay tuned for that one. We also are gonna have a video coming up on like what we're planning to do after, what our goals are, like how much longer do we think this is gonna take? And I'm like, if it took a year to pay off half of it, once you get the snowball rolling, I'm like, I feel like we could do it in less than a year.
Oh, totally.
The remaining 45,000. But the only part that holds me back is knowing that that first like $14,000 was paid by selling like everything.
Right.
And so we sold total, like when we moved, what was the total that we sold? Like 7,000?
7,000 worth of furniture and crap laying around our basement and stuff like that.
And then when we were doing Get Current, and then just all through the year, we've probably sold, so you think we probably sold like $20,000 worth of stuff?
On Facebook.
I mean, that's a bunch.
Probably, yeah.
I know half of that wasn't, half of the 13,000 wasn't selling stuff.
Well, and I also think like knowing that we don't have any, or none of our money right now until we pay off debt is going towards a down payment on a house for our future, that gives you a little more incentive to be like, okay, let's get this done so we can start just putting this all in a honey hole and letting it just build up for our next down payment. I mean, it's really hard looking at the almost $17,000 that we paid off in debt this month. Not hard, really exciting and wonderful. But it's hard looking at that going, if we hadn't made the decisions we had made over the 3 years before we started this and didn't have to put this towards that, that would be a good amount of money towards a down payment. We'd be able to buy a house before you know it.
So that is our update. That's where we are. $45,000 left to go. $55,000 paid off.
Starting to get a little.
Don't let those things fall out.
Melted. Oh man.
No more debt. We're not going to accumulate any more debt. That is our goal. We're going to continue paying this off. We can't wait to share the rest of the journey with y'all. Thank you so much for all the support and the love and the suggestions and everything over the past year.
It's just crazy to think that like in the past it was like, do I put this on the credit card or the debit card? And now it's just not even a thought. Like
No.
it's just everything's been paid for with cash, even with the move and everything.
Well, in cash, you mean like debit card?
Well, yeah,
you know?
yeah. Checking account.
Nothing
Thanks
has
to
come
all the
from
brands that have worked with us over the past year to help us pay the bills and get rid of all this debt and for the
And thank
future
y'all
us.
for supporting
Yes.
us by supporting the brands that we talk about. We're very particular about brands. We try to work with brands that we already use or enjoy their services. We would not recommend something to you that we would not use ourselves. So
There's been some
There you go.
scandalous ones that have come through
There
the
have.
pipeline that we've had to turn down.
there have been some interesting ones, and we've definitely turned some down based on the fact that we just don't like the product or it doesn't work for us. Thank you guys for always supporting us, supporting the brands that we support, and thank you to Audible for sponsoring this video.
And thank y'all for thumbsing this up and subscribing. And if you're new, we're gonna have some more of this nerd talk coming to you soon, very
this
soon.
all day.
Again.
I know you could.
She could.
Are you dreading editing this video already with all the numbers?
Yeah. I'm
Sorry.
just like, oh my gosh, how is this gonna work? I don't know. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you at TFS.
Good job.
Bye.
Our total we started with was $10,362.71. Did I say 10,000?
10,000.
Hold up.
Woo!
Flip that and reverse it.
We would have been way out of debt a lot sooner.
Okay, let's start that over.